I'm very excited actually. I've got the trusty VFR out to do what the trusty VFR should be good at, which is a little bit of sports touring. We've not had the best summer so far in the UK, and I noticed that this week coming up we've got 4 days of what should be good weather together. So I've booked an Airbnb up in the Skipton area, so hopefully we'll have a nice time. I've checked the oil and I've kicked the tyres, you know, checked the fluid levels, the usual things that you do, put the top box on, and it was while I was getting the panniers out, my wife said, well, on this bike sometimes it's a bit awkward getting on and off with panniers. Why don't we see if we can just get by just using the top box? She said, in fact, why don't we use a pannier in the liner just to take the essentials, the things that you actually use. You know what it's like. You go, you've got panniers, oh, I'll take that, I'll add that in, and before you know it, you've got them full, the back end of the bike's weighed down, and you come back and you unpack most of it not having used it. She said, let's just take the things we think we'll use. Now I thought, I might get the short straw here because I tend to take less. But he said, no, we'll see how we go on. So by the end of this video we'll tell you how we went on. You might notice I've put the pooish, and I think I'm saying that right, screen back on. And the reason I've done that is that the wind effect from both the standard and the pooish one seems very similar. But this being a little bit bigger, I've got the X360 mount on it. I'm intending to take some 360 video and hopefully I'll turn it into a video that you'll be watching after this. So that's the whole intention. We'll see how that goes. So let's see how we pack up and we get on our way, and we're off to
North Yorkshire, round Skipton area and Hawes, and yeah, if you know that area you'll know there are wonderful roads. On the way there we called off in Harrogate, quick look around the shopping centre, and of course the ubiquitous Wetherspoons. We've got an icky sticky test for Wetherspoons. If it's icky and sticky, we don't stop. And the Harrogate one isn't icky and sticky, it's very nice in fact. We had a lovely breakfast there and then carried on our way. We actually booked an Airbnb quite late, and it was just north of Silsden, and it was lovely actually, couldn't knock it. Great price, great quality. It was a little bit bijou in that there wasn't a lot of room, but there was enough room. It was much better than going into a travel lodge room. Oh dear. We had a really comfortable night's sleep, despite the worry of having to ride the bike on and off a sea of gravel. As you saw when we first arrived, it was a bit of a challenge, but it didn't actually spoil the experience, and I think I got my handling on loose surface skills a little bit honed while I was at it. For our evening meal, basically we called at Morrison's, bought all the stuff that was unreduced at the bakery counter. Some really nice pasties and the like, and the odd custard and rhubarb tart. It was actually fantastic. And sat besides the canal in Skipton. On the second day, decided it was going to do a round circuit that would take in Grassington, Aysgarth Falls, Hawes, back past the Ribblehead Viaduct, and then back to where we were stopping. I know the roads around there are really good, and the weather was absolutely sparkling. Arriving in Grassington, I made the ubiquitous mistake of setting the sat-nav for Grassington, and I think it took me completely to the middle of it, which actually just turned out to be a cul-de-sac. Anyway, turning round, found my way to the centre, found a nice parking spot. I don't particularly like riding over cobbles all the time, it's a bit of a nuisance, but hey, it's okay. After leaving Grassington, we headed north to Aysgarth Falls. It was absolutely wonderful roads, not too much traffic whatsoever. You did occasionally get stuck behind something, but as soon as you were past them, you had a few miles where it was absolutely clear. When we arrived in Aysgarth, we just followed the signs for the falls. There's a car park that's really sort of at the top of the hill. And my dearly beloved thought, that'd be nice, we'll stop there. I had different ideas though, and the road down to it needs a little bit of maintenance on it, I think. You do?
I'm not going down there with you.
You are though?
I bloody well not.
Janet, please don't keep waddling about. It's really not a problem. But it was okay. You know, we got over it. It's not clear in the car park whether you have to pay as a motorcycle or not. I decided I'd just pay. We were only stopping for a couple of hours, so you know, why worry about having a ticket when you don't need to. At Aysgarth there are 3 falls. We went to the upper ones first and had a quick look around. The middle ones, there's a viewing platform that you walk down to, it's not too far. And then you go to the bottom ones, which is probably the place where you want to go and do most of the paddling and such like if you've got kids with you. Overall, it was delightful. Not too much of a walk, but enough so that you know you've done it. I have been to Hawes before, but perhaps not within the last 25 years or so. I knew that there was likely to be some kind of bike place where people hung out, but I wasn't sure where. And as I'm one always looking for free parking, as soon as I saw parking I stopped. I actually stopped half a mile short of where I should have done really, but you'll see them on the trip out. We walked up and we had a coffee and a nice bun in the cafe that was opposite from where all the bikes were, had a bit of a chat. And then when we set off from Hawes, the road out of Hawes after you get past the roadworks is fantastic. Following the one towards the Ribblehead Viaduct, it's probably God's own roads. I think I have it good in East Yorkshire, but not as good as the boys around here. We arrived at Ribblehead. We decided that we wouldn't actually walk up to it. We have been before, and we'll just look at it from afar because it's quite a good viewpoint. Hung around for a little while, had a quick chat, and then we were back off on our way towards our accommodation. Dearly beloved reminded me we hadn't eaten yet. So we stopped at the Skipton Wetherspoons. It doesn't quite pass the icky sticky test, but we were hungry and the food was actually really good. Now I knew that the night over in the accommodation we were likely to see thunderstorms, but I'd also, having watched the weather forecasts carefully, knew that they were likely to be gone when we set off in the morning. So I took a little bit of precautions by putting plastic bags over the handlebars of the bike, but other than that, a bit of WD-40 here and there, and didn't do anything special. In the morning the rain had stopped, but the roads were still a bit wet. I put on waterproofs for the first time since I can remember. In fact, so long that I thought I'd thrown them away, but her in charge told me, "You've got them in the cupboard," and found them for me. What would we do without them? On the way back, having passed the icky sticky test the first time around, we decided we'd stop again at the Harrogate Wetherspoons, and we really enjoyed it. After our stop off in Harrogate, there was a road closure somewhere, so the sat-nav gave us a much more interesting route home through Wetherby, which I can't remember ever having been through, but actually looked delightful, which surprised me. Anyway, we were going to call at Seaways for a coffee, and when I got near to there and I looked into the car park, we would have been the only bike. I found that quite amazing actually, because this was a Thursday at around about, must have been about 12:30, 1 o'clock. The rain must have been worse on the eastern side, so people have decided I won't bother. Will we do it again? I'm almost certain we will.
That's us back now, and we've had an absolutely fantastic time. Hopefully the 360 footage will do a fair representation of what we got up to, because we really enjoyed the area we were at. Typically for the UK though, we didn't get away without rain. It rained overnight and into this morning. Not to worry though, my dearly beloved had found waterproofs I thought I'd thrown away years ago, because I'd never intentionally ride in the rain, and we'd managed to fit that into the top box with everything else. So, it's true to a word, we were minimalist. We went for 3 days and we took enough underwear, socks, changes of tops, spare trousers, toothbrushes and soap, but you know, Airbnbs, they give you shampoo and everything, so you don't need all of that. And it worked out great. We used everything we took. Nothing was spare, and nothing, we didn't feel short. If we were going for more days, I suspect we could have fitted in another 2 or 3 days underwear and tops and still not been over the top. It worked out really, really well, and I could strongly recommend it. It's great taking panniers, but there's that temptation to take the kitchen sink. And no matter what you say, when you've got full panniers on and a pillion, you do feel like the bike's a bit unwieldy. And coming back, we were slotting our way in between some parked cars on the A64. I'll say no more, hopefully the footage will show that. And I wouldn't have felt quite as confident if I'd had panniers sticking out on the side. Probably didn't feel confident anyway. So, top box touring, much to recommend it. I'd do it again, hopefully we'll do it again soon. If you've enjoyed this, why not subscribe? Besides little videos like this, we do a lot of mechanical stuff, both with cars and bikes, so it might be worthwhile. Give us a subscription and follow along.